Carol Beaumont.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. My colleague Steve Chadwick said to me, I don't know whether to feel sad or mad. And I have to say I feel exactly the same way, and I feel both. I feel very sad at what I've heard in this House tonight and the fact that the government is not going to take responsibility on this issue. And I feel very mad that the voice of the community has not been listened to, and that a genuine effort to deal with the problem is being ignored, and we've had instead people trying in 5-minute speeches to argue what's wrong with this bill. I think what it deserves is a fair hearing in a select committee, and with the public a right to have a say. And I want to acknowledge those parties that have spoken in support of this bill, the Greens, the Māori Party. I understand United Future will also be supporting it, and the Progressive Party. I want to thank them for that. I believe that what I've heard in the House tonight is truly awful, probably some of the worst speeches I've heard in my time in Parliament. And that's because I don't actually think there's any disagreement that there's a problem. I think that any member of Parliament would know that there is a problem because they will see it. They will see it in their communities. They will see people come to their office. They will hear the stories. And certainly I find it quite tragic, the member for Maungakiekia's speech, when in the very area that we share our offices, where we both have offices in Onehunga, there are many loan sharks in that area. And where I saw featured on television just this week a young man going into those places and being offered loans at 25% per month. Now, on a compounding basis, that's over 1,300% per annum. And for that Member of Parliament to make the speech that he did, I just find disgraceful. Members know there's a problem, and I just want to say again what the Jubilee Christian Centre, which is a registered charity with no interest at all in getting involved in party politics, said. And they talked about the term usury in the Bible, and that none of those references, all 23 of them, speak favourably of it, as my colleague Sir William Seo said. They also went on to say that this bill should be a parliamentary-wide bill, and that all members who have a conscience, including government members, should support it. And I am still, at this stage, standing before you, urging you to make the right decision here, to assist people who are struggling, who are vulnerable, and whose families are being hurt by the actions of predatory and irresponsible lenders. We've heard a number of excuses given tonight, and that's the bit that makes me mad. That's the bit that makes me angry. This bill doesn't go far enough. Well, frankly, some of the issues that lead to the problem are not things we're going to legislate for. For example, improving financial literacy is something we would all agree about, and is about resources and about focusing on that issue. It's not a matter for legislation. Low incomes in New Zealand, well, I don't see the government doing a lot of work on that area, but that's certainly one of the root causes of the problem, as is the credit market itself, where those outside of the banking system who cannot get credit from banks need to have access to credit on reasonable terms. That is also not a matter for this bill. But there are targeted suggestions which are worthy of consideration in a select committee. Another excuse: the provisions in the bill won't work. So we've had in several 5-minute speeches supposedly some analysis of that. Well, I would personally like to see a great deal more robust consideration of that in a select committee, where we do look at the experience of other countries. And I don't see that the dire consequences being predicted by the Minister and some of the others are in play in those countries. Now, as for the fact that the National and ACT MPs who've spoken are talking about they're already working on this issue, that is the biggest and worst excuse of all, because frankly, there are some good provisions in the review of the Credit Contracts and Consumer Finance Act. But why has that been delayed for 12 months? How can people stand in this House and tell us that those things that are being proposed in that bill will help when they've delayed that bill by 12 months? That's an absolute disgrace. So these excuses are ones that I just find very hard to stomach, really. And doing nothing, which is effectively what's happening here, doing nothing is not a plausible answer. Where are the solutions? None of the government members who've spoken tonight have suggested solutions. I intend, and I want people in this House to know, that this campaign will not end here. The community wants something done, and I and my colleagues will be working with the community to continue this campaign. I've already written to the Commerce Select Committee seeking an inquiry.
Point of order.